we always got to start with a clap here. Chris Ferguson, little man, Scott Cologne. We took a couple weeks off. Things were kind of hectic around these places. We ran out of beer.
We had some endorsement meetings.
And as some of you may know, today is the 250th birthday of the Marines. We got Abraham McCarver, a Silver Star, a Valor Silver Star medalist. Is that maybe correct? Close?
Pretty accurate. So they only give out Silver Stars for Valor. So a lot of the other awards in the military, they give out meritoriously, which are if you do good paperwork or you're just good at your job or whatever. But Silver Star and up, they only give away for Valor in combat. So, yep.
So what we were trying to find out is, were you in combat?
just a few times. Just a few times.
And again, let's let's just hear a little bit about your story. Like, so even going back as a kid, I mean, like, I don't think anybody wakes up at 6 years old and go, I'm going to join the Marines and So just kind of break it down for us, and then we'll kind of maybe ask some questions in between.
Well, so funny you say that about 6-year-olds. It all started when I was eating crayons when I was 6 years old. And that's kind of how Marines get formed. We eat crayons, and we just get dumber and dumber the older we get.
I'm not a Marine.
You like crayons too?
Still do.
I'm more of a red flavor myself, but that's mine. No, so growing up, I played baseball, and that was really about all I did. I either wanted to be a G.I. Joe or a baseball player. I had a few junior college, community college offers to play baseball. I wasn't doing anything. I was working at FedEx in Memphis when 9/11 happened. And so I went and talked to my little brother who went to West Point. Talked with him, and he kind of told me the easiest way to get in combat was go to the Marine Corps. So I went to, he said, you can go to the Army Rangers or you can go to the Marine Corps. And I asked him, how long does it take to do the Army Ranger thing? He said, you got to go through boot camp and Army Ranger school and all that. And then I said, what about the Marine Corps? He said, you go to boot camp and you go to SOI, which is School of Infantry. And I said, how long does that take? Marine Corps was shorter. I said, that's a shorter road, so I'll go that way. And joined the Marine Corps when, end of 2001 after September 11th happened, and I went to boot camp in May of 2002. So I kind of knew what I was signing up for, and that's all I wanted to do.
So when you're working at FedEx, are you just straight out of high school?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Don't think college is for you?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I kind of, grew up middle class. My father was an electrician. My mother was a cashier at Kroger. So I kind of was just working, paying bills, thought that was the path that, I needed to do. 9/11 happened, and I kind of felt like I needed to do something more with what was going on in the country. I went and talked to my younger brother, and he wanted to go to West Point from the time you joke about 6-year-olds, he was probably in 5th or 6th grade when he decided he wanted to go to West Point.
Which, by the way, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, what you've done is awesome. Crazy, crazy awesome, too. But, man, West Point, that's some crazy stuff to even get accepted to go there.
Yeah, so he went there, and I got news earlier today he's going to be promoted to lieutenant colonel in the Army here next month. So
he probably won't listen to this, but congrats to him.
He's never listened to his older brother his entire life, so there's nothing new there.
But you still talk shit because he's in the Army and you're in the...
Drew, you know what Army stands for?
No, I don't.
Ain't ready to be a Marine yet. That's what Army stands for. So, no, we give each other a hard time, but, he's done his job as an officer, and I did my job when I was enlisted, and we both, did our best to try and serve our country.
That's super cool. What so I know, like, I was gonna like you said, you grew up wanting to either be G.I. Joe or but you probably in your mind didn't ever think that you were gonna be in the middle of it like you ended up in it, did you?
Yeah. No.
Or maybe you did. I don't know.
I knew growing up, no. Yeah. I didn't think that was real. It's a cartoon, you don't think it's realistic or whatever. But once I signed up after 9/11 had happened, I kind of figured I was going to war. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to war and see kind of what I was made of and what I could do to, serve the country and, fight back the bad guys.
Told you, I was thinking about it, man. There's guys like you out there, man. So I appreciate that. And now I'll shut up. I want to hear all about it.
So how old were you then, Abe?
19.
19 years
Man.
old.
God, it's wild, man.
Yeah.
Because in my line of business, I travel a lot, and it's amazing to see. Like, obviously, I've gotten a lot older, but man, these are kids.
But your Botox is working.
Well, no, I'm working on something. But
It's a all sun, no sunscreen diet.
stay real dehydrated, and so you're gonna look
I
like.
travel a lot more, man. Those golf courses get hot.
Try to stay south of the border sometime. But so, you see these, and they're the kids, right? And so I don't know, like, and I say this, and none of my kids were military. My dad, Army Ranger, fought in Vietnam, shot, Purple Medal or Purple Heart, whatever. Yeah. And so I see his struggles with it. He to this day he still won't talk about it. I mean, he just won't ever talk about it. Like if he told these guys, maybe, but never one time, and he doesn't want to talk about it. I don't. You won't want to talk about your friends getting shot.
Absolutely.
So I kind of, and I see these kids, and they're missing a limb from war or something, and it's really, they kind of, it puts things in perspective because my kids never served, and I do think, and this is my opinion, probably don't mean much, but I don't think I'd been a Marine. I don't think I had made it, but I think the country would be better if you had to serve 2 years.
Yeah.
Or at least get the discipline of the one branch of the military.
I think I agree with you 100%, especially in this day and time. There's so many kids out there that are just stuck on their iPads and social media and stuff, and they're not applying themselves, and then they.
Well, they don't even want to go outside.
Oh, dude, it drives me insane.
Much less drink from a water hose.
It drives me insane, man. Anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
You're talking about drinking from a water hose. I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story. So we're in a little town called Karma. It's outside of Fallujah, Iraq. This is my second deployment.
I met her last week.
That's what all those ones are for.
So
it wasn't there allegedly.
Allegedly. So we're in Karma, Iraq. It's outside of Fallujah, and we're getting all kinds of shot up. Car bomb had gone off, all kinds of things, and we're in kind of a running gunfight through the city. This poor, civilian family pulled out in a car, and they got shot up in the crossfire by whoever shot them. They kind of wrecked into the wall right in front of us. So I run out there and I go to pull this lady out. She had one too many lamb chops over in Iraq. She was a big girl and she was hard to get to, and I didn't know what she was saying. I'm just trying to get her out of the way, and I go to scoop her up out of the car, and I go wrist deep into her armpit because she had gotten shot under the arm, and I was inside of her trying to drag her out of the car. And her husband's yelling, she's yelling. There's kids in the back seat. Luckily, none of them had gotten shot. We drug her out, and our interp's behind the wall. And so the terp is trying to tell her what we're doing to protect her. Her husband doesn't want us to touch her. We're trying to get her out of the way so she doesn't get shot again and work on her and all this stuff. And we drag him back there, and I had run out of water because we'd been running through the city with all our gear on and all that stuff. I found a water hose. Turned it on, started drinking out of a water hose. And all I thought at that time was, man, this is 8-year-old Abraham just drinking out of a water hose in his front yard right now. So kids that won't drink out of a water hose these days, I've drank out of water hoses in Memphis, Tennessee, over in Iraq, and I'm perfectly fine's a loose term around here, but I'm as good as I'm going to get.
Well, in that situation, too, it probably got your mind back to where it needed to be at that moment. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with that chaos, and I can't imagine you just said like, oh yeah, so I'm running down and I'm in a firefight, and I'm like, what? But I guess it could probably get your mind right to do the task at hand, at that moment in time, maybe,
It's easier to focus on things that are right in front of you.
Yeah.
When that's all there is to focus on. Think about the world we live in right now. I got 2 phones sitting here. We got computers in front of us. We're driving our cars that are telling us how to stay in the lane and all that stuff. You just remove all that stuff and focus on what's right in front of you, and life's a lot easier that way.
It's great advice.
So let's get back to the timeline. So you're 19 years old. You're at FedEx. 9/11 happens. I was carrying for Trey Lewis. True story. Black Creek Country Club, walking off number 1 green, going to 2 in a U.S. Mid-Am qualifier, and a lady pulled up and said, they flew planes in the building. I'm like, what? What's she saying, Trey? And when we made the turn, it was on the news. You know, you didn't have all the media then. You know, it's not, your phone's not going off.
Yep.
And so I think everybody will remember where they're at. You know?
Oh, I totally do.
So
Where were you, Scott?
I was my son. I'm terrible with dates. He was so he was young.
It was 9/11.
Yeah, he.
It's his birthday.
No, no, no. I know that. I know that.
2000.
It's actually my birthday. Yeah.
2001.
Yeah. I just turned 37.
I can't really
That's all.
remember.
No, my son was Tanner, which is really good friends with Chris's kids, and that's kind of how we are all intertwined. Tanner, my son, was at a Mother's Day out thing right down the street from where we lived, and it was my birthday, and I was on the phone. It was almost like a movie scene. I'm on the phone with my mom, and she's like, "Today's your birthday. I'm so excited. Are we still going to? I think we were going to." It had just opened, and there wasn't much going on in Nashville then. We were going to, like, Dave and Buster's out at Opry Mills when Opry Mills wasn't dangerous like it is now. Shout out Opry Mills. They're never going to promote us. Anyway, but
maybe Bass Pro Shop.
anyway, I'm sitting there, and Mom's talking to me, and she's like, "Oh, my God, turn the TV on if you're not watching." I go, "What's up?" And she said, 747 just hit the World Trade Center. So I'm taking a shower and all that, getting ready and hang up the phone. I got a towel and I'm sitting on the end of the bed. My wife comes back in at the time, dropped Tanner off and said, "Look at this." And she's like, "Wow." And at that time, we're like, how does that even happen? Because we're thinking it's an accident, right? And then that other one hit, you know, and nothing against Donna, their mom, but she just didn't register. She's a very smart lady. She's like, "How does two of them hit?" I went, we're being attacked right now. And then she was like, "Oh God," you know. It was just, as an American, you don't think you're of being attacked, you know. It wasn't like she was incompetent of thinking that way. But when I said that, it like, I don't know if y'all remember this, but like they, I don't want to steal your thunder. I want to hear more, but I don't know if y'all remember this, but I remember specifically the point I was making was dropping Tanner off. Is immediately they were just talking about all this bullshit on the news, right? They were saying like, "Oh, they're gonna poison our water systems and to kill the kids." That's all I heard. So I go down there and get him out and yada yada yada. But I do remember coming back to the house. And I'm sitting there and I'm a patriot, man. I mean, I didn't serve, but I'm sitting there crying, man. I'm like, this is crying, not sad, crying pissed off. And obviously not as pissed off as you, because you went and I mean seriously, man, people like you, man, just make me feel even more proud. But I just remember holding my kid, and my dad handles things. Me and my dad are super tight, but he handles things weird. I just remember him calling, and he goes, "Where are you at? Why are you not at work?" I went, "Dad, we're under attack." And he goes, "Well, I mean, the world don't just stop because of that. What?" Looking back on it, he apologized and said that's how people handle things different ways. And we had it out for a minute, and I said, "Dad, I'm not coming to work." It was just, I just remember it being so surreal and just so weird. But yeah, remember every moment. I mean, I remember like I had a towel on, I hardly put clothes on because I'd gotten out of the shower when it happened. I just sat there for like 4 hours just watching everything happen in front of my eyes, and it was terrifying. But
were you
crazy.
born then, little man?
Yeah, I was.
What was it?
Belmont.
Being at a big,
Hell, I'm older than Abe.
I'm just a baby here.
being at a big,
Out here doing baby things.
Your
I wanna
Marine
hear
Corps
more about
years
that,
are
but
hard
I
years.
do want to hear this because I want to hear more about you serving. But like when you were at FedEx, you said, right, being a big, huge corporate thing like that. Did it just shut down? Did it lock down? I was wondering about that.
back when I was working at the hub in Memphis, we would kind of go in every morning.
So you were in Memphis. You
Yeah,
were at.
I was at their main one of their big hubs
shit.
or whatever.
Yeah,
I think it's their
Y'all
main hub. You
they
know,
probably
Fred
thought
Smith
y'all were
from Memphis.
Target.
So and they did,
Well,
and
because they can. I mean,
so we didn't even go. So I was waking up in the morning. I'm gonna date myself a little bit. I was listening to the Howard Stern radio show.
yeah.
And that was how I kind of woke up. My alarm went off, all that stuff. And I saw what was happening on one of those really big TVs out the back. Not like a large TV, but it was just deep back then. and I saw it, and I was kind of like you. I was like, man, what kind of idiot doesn't see that building right there? And then the second one happens, and I'm like, and then I thought Howard Stern, because I was listening to the Howard Stern radio, and I had the TV on, just getting ready for work. And I thought it was a replay of Howard Stern from when they had bombed the World Trade Center before, and they parked the truck underneath it and all that stuff. Yeah. And so that was kind of where my mind, and I was only 18, 19 years old then, and that's where my mind went at first. And then I turned on the TV and I saw it, and I was like, no, that's not the same thing. And so we used to have a number we would call to tell us like when the planes were landing, to show up to unload, because I was full time, but you kind of had like a window of when you showed up to unload planes, and then you worked your 6 to 8 hours, and then you went home. When we called, they told everybody not to come in. And we didn't go in for almost a week at FedEx. Yeah. They had bomb sniffing dogs out there going through the airplanes and all that stuff. Yeah, and then we started going in, but even when we'd go in, like normally it was just packages everywhere at FedEx. You can imagine conveyor belts and tugs and containers and all the things happening. But when we go in, we'd get like one container, and there'd be like 5 of us. And like normally you'd get like one container per person. You got to unload it as fast as you can. And like there was just nothing to do because they were having to check out all the different packages and everything. And so, I mean, it probably didn't get back to normal for 6 weeks. I mean, just because they were going through every single plane sniffing out. And that's when the wheels started turning for me. And I was like, all right, something's going, something big is happening in the world. And Afghanistan obviously kicked off pretty quickly after that, with sending in the special forces and all that stuff. And like I said, growing up, that was one of the only things I ever wanted to do besides play baseball was just be a G.I. Joe. Yeah. And so I went and talked to my brother, who I knew he had a better understanding of the military than I did. And so he was the one that kind of said, you can go Army Rangers or you can go Marines, and that's kind of your best way to see combat, because that was all I wanted to do. I just wanted to see combat and see what it was about and see what I was made of, and you
wanted a fast lane.
Put my skin in the game is what I wanted to do. And he was the one that told me, and literally I walked out of his bedroom, hopped in my car, drove down to the recruiter's office, took the ASVAB, and signed up right then and there. And this may be a shocker to y'all, but there was a kid in Memphis that popped on a drug test, so he couldn't go to the Marine Corps, and so it opened up a seat sooner. So I went like 2 or 3 months earlier, and was at boot camp
your
a
family
few months later.
had to be. I mean, I'm sure they were super proud of you because you come from a military family, but they had to be. Did you say your dad was military? Just your brother?
Nope.
They had to be terrified though. You going to?
Yeah, my mom was. My mom was not happy about it.
I'm 55 years old, and if I go deer hunting, my mom's like, "Be careful." Yeah. I can't imagine like me going, "Mom, I'm going to war."
Yeah, I'd say crazy. Probably first time I ever said it, but I'd say if anything, my younger brother looked up to me a little bit, if anything, just because I was his older brother and I was kind of doing some things that he thought was good and he was proud of me or whatever. I think my dad was proud of me too. My mom was obviously scared, losing the potential of losing a kid or whatever. Probably scared her a lot.
Good potential though. So you weren't thinking that way because you were young and ready to rock and roll, man.
Yeah, and my dad still says it. I'm not quite as tall and not quite as bulletproof anymore as I get older and softer. But every time I went over there, I just kept thinking, I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and that's the mentality you have to have over there. You can't go into it scared. Yeah. You can't go into it worried about what's gonna happen.
Right.
Because if you do that, you're just letting somebody down right next to you.
Let me ask you this. And I first of all, I apologize. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you, and I hope I know you until the day I die. But what does it? How do you get rewarded the medal that you were rewarded?
Awarded the medal I was awarded. The simple short version is I
didn't do my homework is what I'm saying.
Nope,
that's no disrespect to you.
He never does. Don't take it.
No, I did a little bit, but I didn't deep dive, honestly, because I didn't have time. I mean, honest to God truth, I called him this morning. I went, dude, I need to do my homework, and I did. I know a little bit about you, but I want to know more.
He's kind of hitting on you, but
there's not a lot to know. I mean, I was at the right place, right time, wrong place, wrong time, however you want to wrap it up. And I do truly believe this. With all the Marines I've ever served with, I did what any of them would have done.
Mm-hmm.
I was just the one that happened to be right there when it was needing to be done, and so I made sure it got done.
Okay.
So to go more into the story, because I'm sure that's what
Well, before we do that, just because we're talking about New York, and I would say if people look at us, they would understand we're probably pretty conservative. You look at that
New York.
No. you look at 9/11. You look at 9/11 then, and then you look at in New York then, and then look at what they did over the weekend. Like, I mean, realistically, where are the country boys that are trying to protect the country?
Yeah.
It's the same city.
We're probably gonna lose half our followers.
It's the same. I mean, it is what it is.
Dude, I'm just kidding.
Well, it is what it is. But I mean, how do you let the same people that
I didn't know we had any.
the same people, and I'm not trying to go.
Miller Lite sponsorship.
It's obviously about you, but how does that city in 24 years turn into what it's turning into?
We're on a podcast, so we're part of it, but media. That's exactly how it is. The media controls it all. I mean, that's my opinion on it. Media pushes the narrative they want to make money, get the followers, get the viewers, all of those things. And so it doesn't matter if you're pushing this or that.
Mm-hmm.
One week, 1 month, 1 year, they're going to listen to this. 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, they're going to listen to that. And I mean, if you're walking through Walmart and somebody starts yelling, you're going to listen or see what's going on. If you're flipping channels and somebody's acting like a clown on any channel, doesn't matter if it's CNN or Fox News,
this podcast,
you're going to pause for a second and listen. And the media is what controls all that. So that's my short answer as to how New York City, is the way they are back in 2001 and is the way they are right now.
Yeah, I don't.
It's sad though.
I don't want to get sidetracked. I'm very intrigued by his story, but dude, I was trying to. It was like I told y'all about this morning. I was at a guy. They want me to play golf Friday. I'm like, what is freezing out there? It's gonna be 70. I don't know because I don't watch the news because it pisses me off. But I did see that this weekend. And I'm like, dude, what in the fuck is going on? It's ridiculous.
So going into news and talking about stories from overseas, you're exactly right about the news. All of the media, all of them, doesn't matter. Any of the stations, channels, whatever.
Who shit?
He
had his mouth. He did.
I had fajitas.
I can tell.
He smelled them.
What was the protein? Eggs?
He tasted.
No.
Onions and eggs.
I don't think so.
He tasted them.
So, it was a little tight today.
Had my mouth open and everything.
Money's tight. I had some egg fajitas. Go ahead. Sorry. This is what happens.
Nope.
This is a very professional.
Talking about the media overseas, you're exactly right. All they ever post is negative. Doesn't matter what station, channel, any of that stuff it is. People are gonna tune in and listen to horrible things happening because it makes them feel good about their life.
If I see my man Charlie Kirk get shot one more time on the screen,
Right?
why do they keep showing that? That's why.
And it's things like that, and that's why it's still on the media. But when I'm overseas, back in the day, whenever something bad would happen, it would be all over the news. 10 soldiers killed here, 8 Marines killed here. Whatever, mortars or rockets hit this base, hit that base. And my parents back home in United States, they're freaking out. But safety's a relative thing. If something bad happens in Nashville, our bombing down on Broadway a few Christmases ago, the school shooting out in Green Hills, a few years ago, people think, man, Nashville's not safe because of this one thing or that one thing. I'm in Hendersonville. I didn't even know about it. If it wasn't for the news, I wouldn't even have known about it. And the same thing for Iraq or Afghanistan. I didn't even know about this troops in contact over here, this bombing over here, or whatever, except for the news and the chow hall. If you're not watching the news, because all they report is the negative stuff. 90% of what they report is the negative stuff, and 10% of it has anything to do with you. You know, even when they report things that happen in Nashville, it doesn't affect us. We're up in Hendersonville.
The good news doesn't draw you in. It's always
Right. You want the negative news.
Or the bullshit that, and I'm saying both sides of the fence. But like this morning, I turned the news. I say I don't listen to the news, but I got the TV on for background noise in the morning when I'm getting ready. So
But he
you're
watches the
actually
news.
you're actually hearing it all. I mean, they're drilling in your head. This morning, so they're talking about them trying to get the government shutdown over, but they were really not telling you the facts. They were just emphasizing these poor, pitiful people were there all night last night on a Sunday night trying to hash this out. And they all drove home in their Maseratis and went and ate 7-course dinner. Shut the fuck up. You know, it's like they don't talk about
vote
that.
themselves a raise.
Yeah. While these people that are not getting paid right now, they're just dicking back and forth. They're still eating steak and drinking good wine. You know.
But it would show you though they can they can shut the world down like that.
Yeah.
I mean, all those air traffic guys got to do is say, "Hey, we ain't coming in tomorrow."
Oh yeah.
You can't just go. You can't just hire Drew.
Yeah, I was out of town last
You don't want to.
Look, I had
You don't want me and Drew telling planes.
Run the picket fence.
I had no issues.
No, you.
I had no issues, but I've had people, man, I heard horror stories about a buddy of mine trying to fly back from Arizona the other day. Man, he's just like, dude.
Are you? You just flew from
I just flew back.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
All right, y'all want to hear it? Y'all want to hear a bad flight story?
So let's get back on the subject.
Yeah, from Karma,
back on the
Iraq.
Walk
to
us through. I mean, straight up, getting on the bus, going to basic training, going to Diggum. You know, the quick version.
Yeah.
And a guy asked me this today. Before, what was your first beer? We talk about beer on this show.
Miller Lite. That's what it's Miller Lite.
Miller Lite should sponsor this show because they want to be rich, don't they?
I would think so. First beer.
Man.
Did you
First
get
beer.
told that the best part of you was the brown stain on the mattress?
What in the
The
fuck
best,
are you talking about?
You never seen that
Man,
photo?
the best part of me ran down my mom's ass crack. Let's be honest.
It became the brown stain on the mattress.
Yeah.
all right, boys, we're going to get out of here. Go hang out with my hot-ass girlfriend. Deuces.
Man, I don't. So this may come as a shock, especially to you two, but I didn't really start drinking until I was like 24, 25 years old.
I don't believe that.
And I really didn't
needed
even
to
like
be
beer
drinking.
for the longest time. So like I think probably my first beer was like a Bud Light when I was 24 as a freshman or sophomore in college after my first 4 years in the Marine Corps.
You did start late. Our producer was drinking when he was 13, taking his shirt off at 14, and fucking fist fighting when he was 15.
Yeah,
It's all hearsay. It's all hearsay.
Allegedly.
Somebody told me, you know, you got a podcast, you never talk about the beer. Like, so what was your best beer?
I'm an IPA guy, so I drink IPAs.
Miller Lite
nonstop.
IPA.
You sure you want to talk about IPAs and be a badass Marine?
Yeah, that's right. They taste delicious.
Hey, and maybe I overstepped. So I asked, what has to happen for you to get awarded what you did? Is that a Valor award?
It is a Valor
And again, I'm
award.
sorry I didn't.
It's perfectly
I wanna
fine.
learn.
So
We're gonna get to that point. We're gonna
yeah,
start.
I think
Well,
Chris is wanting to go timeline
People's
here.
attention span's not 4 hours. It's 45 minutes.
That's why we got
Buddy,
a
buddy.
badass
We got- we
producer with
got-
no shirt on over here.
That's right.
Chop it up. That's
Hey, give me
good.
another cigarette.
Go ahead. Ace.
So
You can smoke in here. I think.
so honestly, I don't remember my first beer. Like I said, I
we
joined.
move past the beer. Your best beer is IPA. Move on. That question's not gonna work, obviously. Let's go ahead with the timeline because Scott's on a time crunch. We got,
Yeah.
we got
He wants to know what bars did you hit in Karma,
Ladies and
Iraq?
gentlemen, he's a badass. This was a great interview about fucking nuts.
The whole show's
Cafe
about nothing.
dinner
The whole
starts
fucking
soon.
show's about nothing.
All right, so I go to boot camp, and I mean that was my first time on an airplane. Like I'd never really left Memphis. I'd never
You
done
just
anything.
unload them.
Huh?
You just unloaded.
Just unloaded them, yeah. But I mean I had not done much of anything in my life. Played some baseball and lived in Memphis, and that was it. Ended up in California. It was an eye-opening experience at the least. But you know, being an athlete through high school and knowing kind of how that worked, Marine Corps boot camp is very scary. It's very physical, and they're always in your face, and they're very verbal with you. But I think even younger, I kind of had the personality that, you know, somebody yelling at me doesn't bother me. Like my personality, if you're yelling, you're the one with the problem. I don't have a problem just because you're being louder like that. I don't know.
Tell your wife that at night.
Can we cut that part of the podcast? But no, I mean, so, you know, honestly, it was stressful. I mean, the sleep sucked. We slept on bunk beds. I mean, you had 2 or 3 minutes to shower and brush your teeth and shave. I mean, everything was hustled, but everything was organized. And like, I don't know, being a kid growing up the way that I grew up, having the organization made it easy. It made everything make sense. I knew I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I knew that I had to be ready to go by 5:15 in the morning. I knew this is what we were doing all day. We ate breakfast for 30 minutes here. We just got our dicks ran in the dirt for 4 hours here. Then we go eat lunch. You got your dicks running the dirt for the next 4 hours. Then you eat dinner, and then you go to sleep. And you just got to wake up a couple times in the middle of the night and stand your post for an hour or two, and that's it. And I mean,
And how many weeks was that?
Boot camp, I believe I'm gonna get crucified online for this. I think it was 3 months. I think boot camp.
You only
was
got
3
6
months.
people to crucify.
Yeah,
Scott, him, maybe Drew.
Unless you
a
tell
couple
it.
burner accounts. Yeah,
I ain't gonna fuck with you.
but yeah, I mean, it was very stressful, and this probably goes with the real world too. It was stressful because the percentage of people that couldn't do their job. If everybody could do their job, it would have been easy. But you have a couple of those shit bags that can't run fast enough, that don't know how to wake up on time, that don't know how to do what they're doing, and it makes everybody else's life hard because now I've got to do my job and I've got to help you do your job because you can't do your job.
How long does it take them to get rid of those guys?
In boot camp, they don't really get rid of them. They'll recycle them a little bit. I mean, we take care of them at night when the lights are off. But yeah, but they don't get gone.
Oh,
They're
don't.
still there. I mean, it's still the military, and like, I mean, unless they just get broken, like they're still gonna stay there. And so like,
Some
Yeah,
after
because
hour discipline.
Soap in a sock.
unless you're already a Marine and you're trying to do whatever, some kind of special forces or something. If you're in, you can't just like if I'm a young guy, 19, and I go into boot camp and I'm like crying like this ain't for me. You can't just leave, can you?
not really. No.
Yeah.
There's a process
Well,
to it.
I mean, you could, but
So
you're gonna have that on your stamped on your forehead for the rest of your life.
There's one guy in SOI that I remember, School of Infantry, which is where you go to after boot camp, and I would assume somebody kind of coached him down this path or whatever, but he became a conscientious objector, which means like his religion wouldn't allow him to hurt or kill other people or something.
Well, why is he there? Did he
I
not
mean,
do his homework?
All I know is we gave him a very difficult time for the last few weeks he was there,
I
but
know what
also
that
like
means.
the officers that are in charge, they can't let us get too out of hand with them, because I mean, as enlisted, we kind of, I don't know, it's a dog pound sometimes in the squad bays and
Can
stuff
imagine.
like that, and if you don't
Hold your own.
yeah, if you don't fit in and you don't get in, then it's going to be a rough
That's the way
ride
it
for
should
you.
be though. In anything.
I mean,
you do.
but even
that's
me-
why these kids are such, you know what, these days, some of them, not all of them, but it's just like because they don't have any of that.
Well, and I don't want to digress. I want to stay on the path we're on, but I don't want to digress. But my personal opinion from that, it all comes down from parenting, which all comes down from the government forcing 2-income households. Because you got to have 2 incomes in most households to make ends meet, which means you have no parents at home to take care of the kids, which means the kids get raised and they're little shitheads.
Yeah.
That's how it all unfolds in my mind.
So boot camp. Now we go to SOI.
So now we go to SOI, which is School of Infantry, and that's where you kind of start learning. So if you're infantry, you go to School of Infantry, which is SOI. If you're not, you're what's called a POG. It's personnel other than grunt. So they're all the people that support us. So we call them POGs. Some of them hate it because they think their jobs are important, but at the end of the day, all of their jobs are to support the infantry. So the POGs go to MCT, which is Marine Combat Training, and that's where the title, the moniker "Every Marine a Rifleman" comes from. Is that we all go through some level of combat training after boot camp. Mm-hmm. So like Marines know how to handle their rifle,
right.
even if they're POGs,
right.
they still know what to do if stuff needs to be done.
Right.
But infantry Marines go to School of Infantry, and that's where we kind of start. We learn patrolling, we learn how to get in firefights, how to maneuver in fire. You learn the textbook style of that. You don't learn how to really do it till you go overseas. It's a whole different world when you're doing it real versus
But you're
fake.
learning how to handle gun. You're going to
And-
knock a door
and
down.
patrol,
This guy here.
yeah.
You're learning
How to
the
clear
technique.
rooms, and you're learning all the techniques and procedures and things like that. So that's a couple more months there. So once you leave SOI, then you go to what's called the fleet. Now you're in a unit that can deploy and go overseas and all of that stuff. Sure, the Marine Corps will love what I'm about to say next, but
Well, so
they won't
just a
listen.
quick timeline from boot camp to now you can deploy. 6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
6 months. So I literally, if I would have gone straight from high school, I could have graduated high school and deployed overseas in less than a year.
Yeah.
I didn't, but
Right.
I could have.
Right. Okay.
So you
Get
so you,
back to-
so you go to the fleet, and once you're in a fleet unit, then you really start to learn how to kind of operate within your fire teams, your squads, and your platoons, and you learn all the techniques you learned when you were at SOI. You start to implement them with the guys you're going to be with for the next year or two, because there's constantly a revolving wheel of some of the older guys are getting out, new guys are coming in, all that stuff, but you're going to kind of be with that core group for anywhere from 9 months to 18 months, something like that. So you start to build that bond with them, and you start to, like a team in football or basketball or whatever, you kind of start to learn how each other moves, how they communicate, and you build a better connection with your
Chemistry.
unit. Yeah, chemistry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And not getting back to my dad would tell me when he went to Vietnam, you figure out who wants to fight. You figure out who wants to fight, and that's who you go with.
Yeah, it was probably a lot more.
You find the guys that are willing to fight, and that's who you
Yeah.
You learn real quick. You learn
Who can
real
fight
quick.
and who can't fight.
You can, and I mean, we all play golf, so we all understand this. There's guys that want to hit that pressure shot, and there's guys that want their buddy to have to hit it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing overseas. I mean, I can think of multiple times when stuff was going down, and you see the guy that's taking cover versus you see the guy that's standing up shooting.
What
back.
about the guy like me that's not scared to take the shot, but it never goes in?
we just put you somewhere where you won't get hurt, because we're gonna save you for a special
This
mission.
dude right here, he's got.
You're called a target.
Yeah. This dude right here ain't scared, but we're probably gonna be fucked.
So you're there, and then hey, they call your number. It's time to go, Abe.
So
Do you get to go home first, or you straight on their dime?
So I leave SOI and I get sent to a fleet unit. We get to the fleet unit, and we find out that the reason we're at that fleet unit is because they had about 30 or 40 Marines get arrested by NCIS for drug charges. It was in Southern California. We're close to the Mexican border and all that stuff. They had this big hike, and they hiked everybody back to the battalion area. They arrested a whole bunch of them, so now they're short. They don't have enough people to deploy, but they're next up to deploy. So they fill it with SOI guys like me. And we show up, and you got a bunch of pissed off fleet Marines because their buddies just got arrested, and here I am replacing them. I got the dog shit beat out of me for a couple
New
months.
meat. New
I
meat.
was the new guy. They were pissed off. It was bad news for a couple months. And So they tell us before Christmas. So I joined
Not
in
days,
I joined in May, did all my things for 6 months. So I'm joining sometime November time frame or whatever, and they flat out tell us we're getting ready to go home for Christmas leave. So they say everybody's going home, and I'm like, I don't have any vacation left because I already used it after boot camp and all that stuff. And they're like, nope, everybody's taking it. We're getting ready to deploy, this and that. But they tell us at that time we're just going out on a Navy ship and cruising around the ocean in case anything happens. This was before Iraq ever had popped off. They told us that, and we all go home. We come back, and literally the day we all get back, they're like, all right, y'all are going to Iraq. Like, they knew it. We didn't know it.
Yeah.
And they just sent it, and that's why they sent us home to kind of, spend time with our family one more time and all that stuff. And then, so I went from May boot camp, SOI, fleet unit, and then early 2003, I was in Kuwait waiting to go into Iraq.
Wow.
So less than a year, I had gone from boot camp to sleeping in a Kuwaiti desert.
They gotta rush you through. I mean,
It's wild,
they
man.
gotta rush you through. There ain't no, we'll give this guy a little time.
Yeah.
You got apprenticeship program over here, 3 years.
Yeah.
You know.
Developmental deal. There ain't no developmental deals.
Because when you're that age,
Right.
you thought you're bulletproof.
Yeah,
You do.
100%.
You think
Well, and
you know.
you've been through all this training. I mean, you've been getting beat up, physically, mentally by drill instructors and then SOI instructors. Then your senior Marines beat the shit out of you, and like even the lowest guy on the totem pole, which is what I was on the first deployment, you still feel like I wish there was somebody in front of me I could take it out on. So even when we weren't in war yet, because we're still in Kuwait, we wanted to go to war because I'm the low guy on the totem pole, and I wanted somebody to be lower than me, which was going to be anybody across the Iraqi border, and I was going to get to take it out on them. Like, shit was just rolling downhill at that point.
It's probably by design too. Though.
Maybe so, so. But yeah, I mean, and then once we got into Kuwait, we did what are called feints. So we'd go up to the Kuwaiti border, we'd dig in and set our position and act like we're going to invade. And then a couple days later, we'd just go back to camp. Then a week later, we'd go up there and we'd dig in, and we were pissed. I mean, you got a bunch of Marines out there in 120-degree heat, and we're just digging fighting holes. And so we're in these fighting holes, like we're hoping they come across the border. We're waiting for them
Y'all
to
are
give us the
wanting it to
go.
happen.
Yeah, we're wanting it to happen. I mean, I ain't there for nothing.
Yeah. That's wild, man.
You ever go to bed with your wife and don't want to have sex?
Yeah, because I've been married twice.
I mean, I never went up to the Iraqi border and didn't want to go across the border and fight somebody. I don't
That's
go.
wild, man.
Yeah.
So the first time
They've probably done that.
the
to
first
you
time they
just
say,
to make
"Okay,
you
Abe,
look
here we
like,
go,"
"All right,
are you
motherfucker."
like, "Oh my gosh"?
We thought it was it. We thought we were ready to go. We were pumped up.
I'm just saying,
We're
but
excited.
that first time they're like, "Here we go."
I mean,
I don't mean. I see what you're saying. You're going up there and you're kind of getting nah.
but the first time,
But the I'm talking about when they say this is for real.
yeah,
Are you like, "Oh my gosh"?
No,
Or you're like, "No, I'm not. I'm talking about I don't talk about the practicing. Practicing's over. We're off the driving
Not
range."
how
you don't know when the practicing's
Okay,
over.
well.
You don't know it because we probably did the feints. I would say somewhere around 6 times. So I mean, the first time you go up there, you're like, "Here we go. This is it." And
Hoorah.
then they pull you back, and you're like, "Wait."
armor.
You're like, "Wait, what's happening?"
Don't say that shit to you.
Something.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. Something like that.
Hoo or whatever the army says. I think it's
I don't know
because
what-
they're
y'all
maybe getting
say
sick.
something.
Yeah, we say oorah. They say hoo or
Yeah,
something.
but
like
you
that.
ain't supposed to say it. That'd be
I
like,
ain't saying it.
That'd be like me and you getting some Kappa Sig tattoos on our back tonight and say we're in a
got one.
fraternity.
Tramp
I got tramp
stamps.
stamps.
Tramp
Yeah,
stamps.
I used to, man. I used to have a
So
tattoo. like that.
Abe went over there much like my little buddy over here used to tell us. We didn't come here to hold hands and slow dance. We came to do some fucking.
Yeah. So we would,
I like the
but
fuck.
so the first time we go up to the border, we truly
Poor
thought it
Drake.
was about to happen. Like we thought we were invading like the next morning or something like that, and then we get the signal and we all go back and we're like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like we're ready. Like let's go. And they're like, "Oh no, that was we were just exercising. We were just doing drills or whatever." And the second time we're like, "This might be another drill." And so like we're just kind of like blah whatever. And I don't know. You'd have to ask somebody much higher ranked than I was when that happened or whatever. But we went, I felt like somewhere around 6 times. And like every time we went, like our mentality just got less and less because like you're just messing with me. You're just giving me blue balls. Like I'm trying to get across the border and take care of business, but you wouldn't let me do it. And so we
got
just
the bra off,
but well, and kind of like y'all said, it's just pissing us off,
the
and that may
bra
have been their mentality was just to make us like meaner and angrier or whatever.
Once we get going, we're gonna get going.
Get the bra off. That's like a rundown between second and third.
I mean, if you did one handed,
It depends on really.
Do you get to see a nipple or no nipple?
No, that's a
That
triple.
depends on how good you are.
For
with
me,
left
that's
or
a
right
triple.
hand.
That's
If you
a
see a
triple.
nipple, if you get your hand on, it's a home run. I'm
So
so
we're starting a
55,
sex
I mean,
podcast too. This is gonna be
Let's
interesting.
go with it. I don't know. He started it.
He started.
I didn't
I
say
got
that.
sidetracked, man.
Start talking about
I was
kids.
talking about golf.
It's easy to get
You said
sidetracked.
taking a bra off, and I was like, let's go.
Well, that's where we're at. That's where we're at in this situation.
I'm 55, man.
So
This is why this podcast will never go anywhere.
you're 55.
Or maybe it
Yeah.
will. Or maybe
Y'all,
it will.
y'all need to get a Viagra bottle. Just set it right here. Y'all can get all kinds of sponsorships.
I'm good.
We're trying to get Miller Lite.
I still like.
So you finally walk up to the border, then they're like,
Well, and finally we get to go. And like we knew it was different because when we loaded it back up in the vehicles, we went forward instead of busting a U-E and going back. And I mean,
Why'd you have to dig a hole if you're going forward?
What'd you say?
well, you have to dig a hole in case they come at you because you like we would go up there during the day, dig holes at night, and
just
kind of dig in.
wish
and all
they
that
would
stuff.
come
Yeah,
over.
I wish a motherfucker would. And that's, I mean, and that we would sleep there for like a day or two, then we bust a U-E and go back and.
I shook my head a while ago when you said that because I wasn't, and I didn't do what you did, and I like guns and all that stuff. I got a lot of guns and stuff, but I was like thinking like they train those guys to think that way, and I mean obviously, I say that I'm like, man, I got 3 beers in me, man, I'd shoot somebody right now if I have to, or somebody mess with my kids or something. That's what I meant, But and I probably would and go to prison forever. But my point is it's like it's crazy because they, and you correct me if I'm wrong, they train you guys.
Stone cold sober. That's what's weird.
No, well, they train you guys. They train
No
you.
tequila, nothing.
They train. They
We did
train.
get some bourbon in Baghdad.
No, they train you guys though to think that way, to almost like, oh, we want to fight right now. Well, they're shooting live bullets at y'all too. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, let's go. It ain't a video game. You ain't got 9 lives or whatever.
It's funny you say that about video games. The mentality of younger Marines visibly changed over the years that I was in because of video games.
I could see that.
I didn't grow up. I mean, I grew up on like James Bond, GoldenEye, but like that's not realistic.
Yeah.
Some of those video games now are so realistic
Yeah.
that there were kids coming in thinking that's the way it's gonna be,
Right.
and like that's not how it is.
Right.
That's not how it is at all. Like you don't get shot a couple times and then like lay there for a second and heal. Like
What's
eat a chicken wing.
What's the biggest video game?
Call of Duty.
Call of
Call of
Duty.
Duty. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I never got into all that because I'm old as shit. But but I thought about that when my son was playing it, and it came so. I was like, man, I wonder how many kids are so into that stuff. They think, oh, well, I'm gonna go into the service because I want to do this. Like they're like that. Because it is realistic.
The worst ones like that end
Well, it's realistic in their mind
service.
until, like, as you said, they get there and it ain't nothing like that.
So
and then
there's-
they're like, oh shit.
There's the video game kids, but then there's also the my dad or my uncle did it kids. Those are the 2 worst. I ran across a few of each of them that like, oh, my daddy was in the Marine Corps, my uncle did this, or my dad did that, and
can see
like
that.
they're doing it to trying to live up to somebody, and the last thing you want to do is be somebody else. Just be yourself.
Right.
I mean, not everybody's made for it, built for it, and has the mentality for it. And I hope my kids never have to go through it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's enjoyable because of the people you're with.
Yeah.
It's not enjoyable because of the things you have to do or that get done to you. And so, while video games are fun because you just hit the off button and you go drink your Mountain Dew or whatever after that, like that's not the way it works over there.
Yeah.
Like you do that and all you do is go drink some dirty water out of a garden hose and you got to do it again.
That was
tomorrow.
great what Little Man said though about kids don't it's different now, so.
Good news is, Scott, your dad said the same about you.
He probably did. But my point is like I remember we grew up next to my grandmother, and my mom and dad would go to work, so my grandmother was basically watched after us during the day. We didn't really. I mean, we were old enough. We didn't live there until probably I was 12 and my brother was 10. But my mom would literally be like, all right, boy. I mean, we weren't locked out of the house by any means. I had great parents. But, I mean, it'd be like, all right, boys. I mean, her only care was, okay, is somebody have to get stitches or break a bone? Or are they going to get sunburned? Because we were outside all day. I mean, we'd ride bicycles when you have to – you don't go to Walmart anymore to buy replacement tires for the bicycles is what I'm saying. We used to wear the tires out. You know what I'm saying? Kids don't do that anymore.
So now the gloves are off. We're easing into Iraq, and then I mean when the first one goes by, you're like, oh, it's on now.
Shit's real.
It got real pretty quick. We got in a little bit of a skirmish the first night or two or whatever. But like for the most part, we're in vehicles. We're in AAVs, which they're tracked like a tank, but they're like an armored personnel carrier. So we're all in the back, and like they've got a 50 cal which shoots a large bullet, and they've got grenade launchers up top. And for the most part, they took care of everything that the first night or two, just because the outskirts of the Iraqi guard, they didn't want to be there. Like you give them any sort of resistance or anything and they just kind of give up. So like what we did a lot of times during the day is we're just marching them back to POW camps. Like we're marching them back to the support groups, to the POGs or whatever, and they got to watch them and process them and all that. And we just keep moving forward because we're infantry. I would say some of our first real combat came at the Saddam Canal. As we're trying to cross the canal, in our vehicles, we start getting hit by mortars. So we have to button up the tops because the tops are convertible, but they open up like that, and you stand up on the bench seats inside, and you kind of keep air watch, and so you watch what's happening outside to make sure nobody's running up on your vehicle or anything like that. Well, they start shooting mortars at us, so we've got to button up the top to make sure mortars don't fly right in on us. And so once we get across the canal, we make a hard turn and we get up against a berm, and all their mortar teams and everybody are set up on the berm out there. And so that's kind of our first firefight. It's long distance, so it's not up close and personal. And so it feels a little surreal, like it's not like a G.I. Joe cartoon where you're getting shot at and the red bullets are coming that way and the blue bullets are going that way. You're just you see a little movement or you see a little pop of smoke or something. You just kind of shoot in that general area, and like you're just trying to get them to quit shooting at us, and we're shooting at them. And but it's a good way to pop your cherry.
Yeah, but so what kind of weapon are you carrying?
So my first deployment, I carried an M16.
There you go.
Just a little semi-automatic 3-burst M16 or whatever. Funny story, I got beat up on by one of my senior Marines because, we're overseas and there's sand and they beat up our weapons and this and that. And the guys that had machine guns, they didn't want to stand up on air watch because they're heavy. So I would give my M16 to somebody and I'd keep his machine gun down, so when it was his turn on air watch, and I mean we literally would just take our hats off on the buttstock of the rifle and just go to sleep for 30 minutes, and that was our nap. And so I'm just in the vehicle just sleeping, and he wakes me up and my M16 had fallen apart. My rear pin had fallen out and he didn't know where it went. And so when that happens, your gun just falls in half basically. The front pin was holding it together, and so my senior Marine starts getting in my face about it, And I'm like, I was asleep. I don't even know what happened. And like he's got his Kevlar on and he's pushing it into the bridge of my nose right here. And like, I mean, he's pushing hard. And I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm sure it went differently in combat and we're getting shot at and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I was asleep. I had nothing to do with this. And for whatever reason, he pushed me and I swung on him. He swung on me. So we're getting shot at. Me and him are fighting in the back of the vehicle. We got a gun that doesn't work. And like, I get in trouble because I'm trying to fight with somebody that's in charge of me and above me and, you know, all of this stuff. But, you know.
Sounds like me and my son when I miss a 4-footer and remember this.
So we took a clamp off a hose. You know, they're like these circle bands that you put on a big hose and you just screw them and they tighten up and they clamp down. We took one off of, it was an extra piece for the Amtrak that we were in. We took one and circled it around the back end of my rifle and tightened it down, and we tightened it to just the right point where the rifle would work.
Wow.
So for a couple days I had a jerry-rigged M16 and that was my weapon
wild,
overseas.
Man. Yeah.
But
Cool.
but what's your choice? You have no rifle,
No,
or you want a
I'm just
rifle
saying
that at least kind of shoots a little bit good.
Hey, Mama, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what you want to say, right? Hey,
Right.
you mind taking me back to base? I think I left an extra on the belt pad back there.
Get my cleaning kit back there.
the last thing I'm gonna do is be a bitch and back out of it.
Yeah.
So
I
like
mean,
you gotta
You've
find a
already
solution.
fought your superior officer.
I'm into guns, man. Those M16s, so that just goes to show you, man, you can make them the same for it.
Yeah, you can make it. I mean, AK-47 is a little more durable and sandy and all that stuff, but yeah, it worked fine. So we go up through Iraq and we go all the way from the Kuwaiti border up to Baghdad is where I went my first deployment. You know, we got into a little bit of stuff up there and did some things, but the real action didn't start till my second deployment. So first deployment's over. I'm over there for 6-7 months. We come back. When we come back,
Are you just exhausted when you come back and just want to sleep your ass off?
No, you just blow all like $15,000 you made in Vegas on hookers, blow, and gambling and all that stuff. We didn't do blow in the Marine Corps, but
I've never done that.
You didn't get caught doing it.
yeah.
I haven't done that shit
So
in 3 days.
but I mean
I'm cool.
you know I mean
Allegedly.
because when
Maybe.
you come back, you know you're deploying in 6 more months. So you basically got 6 months to live life. that
Blow
may
all
not
your
happen
money.
again. Blow all your money and
Blow.
everything.
Get rid of all your money.
Oh,
Enjoy
Which is
yourself.
also
And,
the same
yeah,
thing.
have a good time.
this podcast is sponsored by cocaine.
Enjoy yourself.
We're gonna get kicked off YouTube here soon.
Not quite.
Yeah, they say way worse.
So
They got
come
bigger
back,
fish to fry
come
than
back,
us.
big party. They
Yeah.
they amp you back up. Like you go back for a couple of runs.
So what's
or-
funny is before we leave, we had a general, and he's one. I mean, everybody loves him. Great guy, great leader, all the above. But he flat out told us, you know, y'all did a great job, this and that. Y'all won't have to be coming back here. 6 months later, we're right back there.
Like, yeah,
So, but yeah, we go home and everybody celebrates. Good that we made it home. We did our jobs. You know, we lost a few guys, not a lot of guys, but it was, you know, the first deployment was, besides the unknown, it was easy.
Yeah.
You know, looking back, having the second and the third deployment after that, you know, and so some of the senior Marines, they got out and they were done or whatever. And then, you know, we get a whole nother boot drop after that. So all boots are the new Marines that come in. They're fresh out of boot camp and SOI. They don't know anything, all that stuff. And, you know, now that we've been there, done it, seen it, got a t-shirt, all those things, we're assholes to them. I mean, we're
You're starting to beat down on them now.
yeah,
right?
now the tides have turned, but like my senior Marines didn't know what they were beating me down for, because they'd never been there or done it. Now when I'm beating down, you know, my junior Marines, the guys that are underneath me, we knew exactly what was coming, because we'd already done it one time. We knew we were going back at that point, and so like shit got serious,
It
and
got a
like
little hotter too.
we we hated our lives, but it's one of those things that like you have to go through, but you hate it at the same time. But because of like your camaraderie and your group that you're with, like that's what makes it bearable. Like misery loves company, like any of those little cliche sayings, like that's what it was then.
So your second deployment, you get in there.
Second,
You're busting these young boys. You're whipping them in shape, right?
Yeah.
Because hey, at the end of the day, he's right beside you. He needs to fight.
that's right.
I'm gonna stand up and fight for you. I hope now. He's my partner. He's a pillow fighter. But you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna do my best for him. I want him to do my best, you know,
That's
for me, right?
And so
you're in the. So that's your second deployment. You're trying to, you know, hey, dude, you watch this way.
And,
You know,
and if guys didn't, they would get hit in the face. I mean, I knew one guy, I'm not saying any names on this podcast, but we're in an alley just getting lit up, like just getting raked with machine gun fire. And the guy wouldn't get up from, he was hiding underneath like a little 18-wheeler or whatever, wouldn't get out and fire. Guy smaller than him, he was in charge of him, guy smaller than him, got up, walked right through the fire, walked back and hit him square in the face for being a little bitch, turned around and started shooting. I mean, that's kind of the way it was. Like, I mean, if you're not going to do anything, I'm going to die anyway because you're not doing your job, so I might as well die you up.
yeah, go ahead, and whoop you on the way.
Yeah. So
Take care of you. I'll have some satisfaction when I get done with you, and then I'm gonna go back to work. Right?
Yeah, but you know that talking about guns and everything, but that second deployment, that's when Fallujah happened. That's when I earned the Silver Star, and that's when we saw real combat. You know, that's when shit hit the fan, and I mean for a month straight, we were in firefights almost every day. You know, some days we're just shooting house to house. Other days, I mean, we're calling in tanks and airstrikes and helicopters and like your little video game scenarios. Like that's
You're in
kind
the thick of it.
That's the way it was. You know,
Scott kicked the hornet's nest, and now it's on.
yeah, and it was on. And I mean, there were some easy days where you didn't have to do a whole lot or whatever, but there were some horrible days where buddies died and got blown up and got shot up, and then you had to go get them, and then of course like us being the people that we were then, like we had to chase them down, and we like you killed one of my friends or you shot one of my friends, like I'll run across this fucking city chasing you down, and like it was horrible, but it was also the best time of my life.
I'm sure they did. I mean, they're human beings, I think, but they probably believe the same way you did. If you shoot one of their guys, probably the same way, right? Basically, there's a bounty on you, basically. An unspoken bounty on you.
Absolutely. And I would do nothing different than what most of them did if somebody came to America. But because of our training, I knew I was bigger and better and badder than you, and I had more support, and I had more people that weren't going to back down. Sure, we had the one-off guys that would get a little scared or, not want to do things or whatever, but at the same time, I knew I had 10, 12, 15, 30 guys behind me that would all lay down and die right there.
That's crazy.
And
I respect.
There was not a house, there was not a room, there was not a street that I wouldn't walk down.
I respect what you're saying there to stand up for your friends, your buddies, your loved ones, whatever. But it's also crazy though that as you've aged and now that you're out, do you ever think back and go like, "Holy shit, man! I was like." I mean, you've had to like tone it down a little bit over the years and think like, dude, you had to think you were invincible over there. You couldn't been able to do what you did, right?
I 100% agree with that.
I mean,
I was waiting on you to say dumb because yes, I was dumb back then.
No.
But you have to be. You have to be numb. You have to be dumb to it, and that's how you process it. Right. Because and unfortunately, I know this is a beer drinking podcast, but like this is how I process it now.
Yeah, that's interesting
and like,
to me because I've gotten to know some guys that did what you did, and I mean I don't ever, if they want to talk about it and smoke a cigar and drink some bourbon or whatever, I'm here to listen to it because I'm just sitting there like. But I don't ever bring it up. But every time that a lot of those guys are my age or maybe a little younger than me, and they're like, they'll talk about stuff like what you just spoke of, and I'm like, well, how do you feel about it now? They got like little girls and little kids, and they're coaching softball, and they're like, man, I just sorry. They're like, I didn't give a fuck, man. I was there to protect who.
Well,
I was there to protect my boys, you know,
but
and
right.
fight for my country.
No, you're right about fighting for your country, but at the end of the day, once you're overseas, you're fighting for the person left and right of you.
Right.
Like there's, those 4 guys that I was in charge of, those 12 guys that I was in charge of, the 30 guys that I worked with or whatever.
Yeah.
If any of them would have called, I mean, there was one time I had a friend get shot. He passed away. And we were probably about 1.5 miles away in the middle of the summer in Iraq, on the north side of a city, and we got a radio call. And once I realized who it was that had been shot, it was one of my best friends.
Right.
I took the radio from my radio operator, and we ran 1.5 miles and 100 pounds of gear across the city
But
to
didn't
get
even
to
think
him.
about it.
No, why would you think about it?
Yeah, you're not even.
I'm breathing. He's not breathing.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And if I can do anything to
And if
get
anybody
there
with you
as
slow
quick,
down, you're like, you need to get your ass tough right now. Let's go.
no, you can just fall back. I don't care because you're still alive.
Yeah.
He's not alive.
Right.
Like there's nothing I wouldn't do for anybody. But what you're saying is exactly right, because we have to shift our focus as we get out of the military and move on to becoming family men, business owners, employees, or whatever. And we just have to refocus, and our family becomes what's important to us. Our business becomes what's important to us. And you focus on what you can control. You don't focus on things that are out of your control. The media and social media, all that stuff, like that doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with me.
Right.
If they pass tariffs, they don't pass tariffs, I just adjust my prices.
Yeah.
I can still keep selling things. I can still keep doing business.
Yeah, that's what,
But kids these days don't see that.
Well, yeah, going back to what we were talking about earlier about the media, it's like when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, I was like, man, I was reading to these hateful people that were hating on each other, and I was like thinking, or hating, or they were legitimately happy for what happened. I was like, oh my, that freaking hurt my heart, man. And so I was like, man, this divided bullshit with our country, I don't care what you believe in. I've got friends of mine that are very liberal, but they're not assholes about it.
Right.
I mean, we may get in a little debate about it, but my point is, that's why we live in a free country. You can decide what you believe in. And if I agree with you, I mean, I just met you an hour ago. If I believe in what you do or vice versa, I'm not going to, think that what you believe in is just total bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
There's nothing wrong with disagreeing.
No.
No,
that's what's wrong with this world, I think.
So the second one was the worst one. Come back.
Second and or third. Second and third were very similar.
How long were you on your second tour?
Second and third were both 7 months. Second and third were both 7 months. So in the second one, we had a good month that was running and gunning for a month straight. I mean, almost every day for 4 or 5 weeks straight. I mean, so I carried a machine gun the second time I was over there. M249 Saw shoots shoots the same round as an M16, but it's a machine gun.
Was that 230?
226 is probably what you call it. It's a 5.56 round. So I carried that the second time I was over there. One of my best friends carried the same gun, and I mean, we were just almost inseparable that second deployment, because we were in the same squad, so we were in the same 12
you got a sniper
guys.
with you too?
No, snipers are a whole different kind of.
You don't have
thing.
one with your group?
No. So a normal Marine Corps fire team, you've got a rifleman, a grenadier. So a rifleman carries an M16 or an M4. Back then, a grenadier carried an M16 or an M4, but it has a grenade launcher on the bottom, so you can shoot grenades out there 300, 400 yards. Then you've got your fire team leader, which will carry an M4, and then you've got an automatic rifleman, which will carry we call it a SAW. It's an M249, but it's a lightweight machine gun, and you can rip through 200 rounds in 30, 45 seconds. And just rip through them. And me and my buddy, we were kind of. I'll say it just because he'll get a kick out of it if he ever listens to it, but I got an award for being able to shoot better. He got mad about it. Then he started shooting better, and then he got an award for it too. So we were kind of the best two SAW gunners that there were. And me and him, I mean, when shit hit the fan in Fallujah, we would just almost go back to back at times and just roll out in alleyways and just lay down fire as much as we could so guys could get across. Because if you're shooting at somebody, they're going to put their head down. And if they put their head down, that allows my guys to get across the street or move to a different house or whatever they got to do. And me and him would just find each other. And, I mean, because of that camaraderie and that brotherhood that we built, we could just look at each other and we knew what each other was going to do.
You got your back.
And so I would roll a certain way, he'd roll another way, and I mean you were just catching rounds for 2 or 3 minutes straight from me and him, and like we would just sit there and run through ammunition, just and that's kind of the unity that we had.
But that's why you did the fakes, right, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, the drills and all the things you got to do is to build that.
You got to figure it out, right? Mm-hmm. So 7 months, get to come home for another.
And they tell us again when we're done with that second 7 months, like,
great job,
yeah, y'all did a great job. Y'all are never gonna have to come back here again. All this stuff. 7 months later, we're right back there again. We're in a whole different city and all that.
Yeah, but they're not lying to you. They assume that's it, right?
No, they're probably lying to him. But did they give you your Silver Star in between the tours, or
yeah, they gave me my Silver Star in between the two. I think it was
second, third.
I earned it the second. I was awarded it the second deployment. That's when I did the action.
Can you speak about that, or
yeah, I can. Yeah, so
that's what Scott was trying to get down.
Okay,
to,
yeah. So I'll talk about that day. So you'll need like a whiteboard. I could have drawn it out and everything. So
You can write on the wall.
Harper will get it.
Where's that
painted.
crayon? Crayon you're going to eat.
We were gonna get those, but our budget wouldn't allow a whiteboard.
No, we spent it on Miller Lite.
So we're in a city in Iraq, and we had been getting shot at nonstop, and our snipers were doing a hell of a job in this city, and they kind of called a ceasefire where we could no longer do offensive operations. So what we did as a defensive posture, we were all back at a certain line, but we sent out what's called LPOPs, listening posts and observation posts. So we would send out smaller teams, a couple hundred yards in front of our main line of Marines, and we'd send them out there to make sure bad guys weren't sneaking up on us or, whatever. And so those guys got attacked one day. And so a counterattack is not an offensive operation. It's a defensive operation because you're responding to their offensive attack on you. You're now counterattacking them. So we counterattacked them, and we sent out 2 of the AAV vehicles, the Amtraks with the tracks on them and guys in the back. And the goal was for the one on the north side to push forward and flush all the guys south, the bad guys south. As they flushed the bad guys south, we would just light them up with our 50 cal and our Mark 19 and just hit them as they ran across this main road. So we made a visual link up at a there's a big soccer field, and we're on either side of it. So we're, 100, 200 yards apart, and the northern vehicle pushes forward. Well, it pushes forward, and we're trying to keep radio contact with them. We lose radio contact with them. We're not going to leave a Marine vehicle out there that's got, 15, 20 guys in the back of it. So we try to raise them on the radio, We can't
But you can't see them.
We can't see it because they're now in the city. They've left the soccer kind of field staging area, and they're into the city at this point. And so we lose comms with them, but we're not going to leave them out there. So our lieutenant pushes us forward, And as we push forward to that first street, we get lit the fuck up. Like RPGs, machine gun fire, we're just getting blitzed at this point. And we still can't raise them on the radio. There's a younger Marine that's driving the vehicle. And so when he starts getting lit up, we go. He just drops the hammer on it and we take off. Well, when he's taking off, he's getting further and further from friendly lines. And he's taking us away from friendly lines. Every intersection we come to, we're just getting lit up. RPGs, machine gun fire, AK-47, everything's coming at us, hammering us. So I'm in a position in the vehicle, an RPG hits and knocks me out, and I fall down into the vehicle, and I look up, and the Amtrak commander is blown in half at this point. I see his waist below just kind of catty-cornered in the turret where so he's in like this kind of picture a 50-gallon bucket that's armored a little bit, and at the top there's a machine gun and a grenade launcher, and he controls those. He's got his radio on so he can tell the driver. So he's here and the driver's over here, and he's telling the driver what to do. That RPG that hit me hit the vehicle that knocked me out. Obviously, it was a penetrating RPG, went through the vehicle and just destroyed him. When I woke up on the bottom, I looked up and there was nothing but like his legs just catty-cornered in the turret still, and he was gone. And the engine was on fire at that point. And one of our Navy corpsmen was kind of waking me up, like slapping me, getting me back in the fight. And I was like, yeah, what's going on? I'm good. And so I hop back up and we just all kind of do our jobs. So the vehicle goes for about 1,000 yards before there's a big enough road to turn on. So he turns left because the majority of our fire had been coming from what would be our north side, which is where our other vehicle was supposed to be. We had no idea where they were because we were in our own world of hurt at that time. So we get up there, we turn left, and it kind of eases up. And the next time he can take a left, which is now bringing us back to base, he is, but the engine just stops. It's on fire at this point. There's smoke coming out, and like it can't move any further. So we all bail out of the back of the vehicle. When we bail out of the back of the vehicle, we're kind of in a neighborhood at this point. And so I tell one of the other Marines, I'm like, get us in that house. And this guy just drops his shoulder, full speed, runs through like an aluminum. So in Iraq, all the houses have brick walls, but then they have like these aluminum gates or whatever. And he just drops his shoulder and just runs right through this gate and just boom, busts it open. And everybody kind of piles in there. Well, the Marines are still in the vehicle. The driver is lost. I mean, his buddy's dead in the turret over here. He's a new guy. He doesn't know what's happening. So we're trying to get him out of the vehicle. And our lieutenant was messed up in the vehicle too, because one of the RPGs that went through and hit the engine ripped the back of his leg off. So he was in and out of consciousness and all of that stuff. Me and one of my buddies kind of talked him to the edge, and we drug him down kind of off the side of the vehicle, drug him into the house, started working on first aid with him. Turns out the Navy corpsman that had woken me up, he went through the engine fire and worked on the lieutenant in the fire. He was standing in the fire and trying to put tourniquets on him and stop the bleeding and everything. He came back out. When I looked up at him at the house when we were working on the lieutenant together, his face had melted off on one side. Man. Like skin was like, imagine the worst sunburn you've ever heard. It's just like skin was hanging off his face. And he's still doing his job and still working on this guy. Well, so now at this point, we're inside this house with like 12 or 13 guys. We're probably somewhere around 750 meters from friendly lines. And everybody knows where we are because the plume of smoke coming up off our vehicle at this point. Our staff sergeant gets on the roof. He starts calling in radio, try to get support out there to us, to get quick reaction force, to get some backup out there to us, to reinforce us and all that stuff. Well, it's very Black Hawk Down of them or whatever. They lit multiple piles of tires on fire around the city. So when we tried to talk them on, you use features to when you don't know where you are, because we've obviously been inside the vehicle and we're doing U-turns and getting hit, and, you're discombobulated. He tells them we're at the pile of smoke. Like, follow the smoke, that's where we are. But the smoke's right in front of our house, so we can't see the other smoke all around the city. And so, like, the quick reaction force is going to other parts of the city and, like, trying to find us. And it took them about an hour to get to us. And so by this time, the enemy's closing in on us. Like, they're literally in the houses next door. They're throwing grenades onto the roof where we are. We're having to go back into the house.
Did you think this was it?
We talked about it, and we tried to figure out how we could make a run for it. But our lieutenant was a big old boy, and we're just a bunch of 19-year-olds. I mean, he was 6'2", 6'3", probably 225.
No, I mean, did you think, okay, this is it? I got it. I hope I'm right with God.
It's I never really thought about that. I mean, I thought about how we were going to get out of it, and it was, the decisions were, are we going to stay here and keep fighting,
right,
or are we going to try to gather everybody up and get out of this house? Because we had 750. I mean, I can run. I'm fat and old and drink beer right now. I can still run 750 yards. I don't care how much weight you put on me. Right. But we were trying to figure out our best course of action, and then here comes our company commander on foot leading the QRF to our position. And so the backup got there, and F-16s were coming in. They weren't firing anything because it was too close and they couldn't tell where everybody was. But just the fact that they're flying at 200-300 feet off the deck, I mean, if you see an F-16 fly 200 feet above you, you ain't doing shit if you're a bad guy. No. Last thing you want to do is stick your head out, And so we kind of buckled down there for a minute and reassessed. We got the lieutenant in the vehicle, and they got him out of there. He's doing great now, working and living life as good as he can right now. We kind of got everything stabilized, and once everybody showed up, they scattered like cockroaches that they are. Like, they didn't want anything to do with us once everybody else was there. There's something called thermal crossover. So the tankers that came in, there was a thermal crossover in the city at that point. And so the ground was too hot, but the air was too cold. So they couldn't use visuals because it was too dark. They couldn't use thermal because of the thermal crossover between the hot air and the cold, or the hot ground and the cold air. And they couldn't use night vision yet because it was too bright outside. So they had no idea how to drive out of the city. So me and one of my buddies who passed away at our next deployment, me and him hopped in a Humvee and led the whole thing back to base that night.
Wow.
So
there you go. Like,
there's your
that's
story.
Real. That's real.
There's your story,
that's real stuff, everybody.
Yeah, that's
real.
kind of what I was wanting to know, man. That's wild, man. Well, I mean, I can't tell you enough. It's super cool to meet you, and
thanks for your service.
No.
Yeah,
you.
100%. But it's cool to meet you, and I hope we play some golf, and I hope I know you forever.
I mean, if you're a 15 handicap, I ain't golfing with you. Fuck.
But man, that's
plays
super
like
cool.
a 5.
Yeah. I feel like
I might need a ramble partner one day.
Yeah.
You might get invited.
Oh man, that would have been good. That would have been good, wouldn't it? I'm not wiped out. But yeah, that's awesome, man.
So that was only the second deployment. I went one more time. Actually, I went 2 more times after that. I wasn't done with it yet.
Well, Scott's
You
got
were
to
told
go.
you were done.
Yeah.
Scott's got to go. You got to go too.
We at least need to take a pause. Let me check the text message to see how much trouble I'm in.
I do got to roll.
We're back. We've kicked Scott out. He got drunk.
You got
had to
talking too
leave
much.
and watch a 6-year-old basketball game. But we got through 2 deployments with Abraham, and we want to hear about the third one. But shout out to Blue Sky Electric. So talking.
And Ricky
We're
Barnett.
talking about we got a mutual friend.
And the fairway room at Rocket. Well, what is it?
Yeah,
Emerald Room.
Emerald Room at
Emerald Room
yeah.
at Fairway Mortgage.
So, talking to Shane, a friend of ours, was a sniper in the Marines. So I've talked to him about some shooting, but what what's next is interesting for me because if you're on the Call of Duty games, right, it's a smiley face, and I put it on little man's head, and we get to firing, right? But so go ahead and tell us how you were trained in the second stage
in
SOI.
Well, yeah, and well, even in boot camp, you know, the Marine Corps snipers are about as good as you can get. I mean, the schooling those guys have to go through after boot camp, after SOI, and all the things they have to do. I've known a few of them, and a few of them are still my good friends. I've lived with a couple. They're even crazier than the rest of us, but like the mentality those guys have to be able to be patient, wait until the time's right, and to have the calculations, because at the end of the day, all the Marines are doing is eating crayons, and those guys can calculate what they need to calculate on the spot to end someone's life. And so I would, without being a sniper, I would think those guys could easily reach out and touch someone at 1,000, 1,200 meters. So during boot camp, back in my day, you had to walk uphill both ways in the snow, but you shot with iron sights on an M16 out to 500 yards. And it sounds like a long way. It really does. But like once you understand like how a rifle works and how to adjust the elevation on an M16 and all of that, shooting someone at 500 yards with a rifle that's accurate is not that difficult.
So how much drop in 500 yards?
I'm not.
know,
I'm
like
not.
be head to chest. Or you just aim and get you fired?
No, because inside of 300 yards, it's about the same. So when a bullet leaves the barrel of a rifle, it actually elevates it first and then drops back down again. So it's not a big enough drop to 300 yards where you have to calculate much of it. But once you get out of there, it's on its way down. So you do have to adjust your elevation, which is nothing more than part of the iron sights on the back of the carrying handle of an M16. But honestly, I don't even think they have or use M16s anymore because everybody has ACOGs, and so those are just a scope that have different lines. And when we first got the ACOGs, the way the chevron and the lines on the ACOG was set, it's built for a typical man's shoulders. So if you can get your target to square up to you, you match the cross lines on the person's shoulders to figure out how far they are. But also at the same time, like,
You're pulling the trigger, right? If the guy's firing at me, I'm firing at him.
If you've shot a rifle enough, you get an idea of how far away they are, so you already know. And being just standard regular infantry like I was, it doesn't matter to me if I hit you in the throat or hit you in the dick. You're going down.
Right.
I don't care where I hit you because I'll hit you 2 or 3 more times.
Right.
You know, so, but those snipers, because of their concealment and where they are, and sometimes how far forward they get of friendly lines, they don't want to give away their position and shoot multiple rounds. So like those guys, they have to know exactly where they're hitting. So like the calculations they make are incredible.
Well, he's kind of a dummy anyway. But
You would never guess that he could do any type of math.
No. So 2 deployments, and now we get to come home, and the general says, "Hey, you're not going back. Great job. Pat on the back. Get some rest.
Just kidding.
Thank you."
Going back.
And then they call you in 60 days.
No, I think we went home for about a week, maybe 2 weeks, and when we got back, they're like, "All right, we're gonna start training again." We're like, "What are we training for?" Going back again.
Wow.
So I mean, we knew it. We knew it pretty quickly, but those of us that had been through that same speech the first time, when we heard it, we're like, man, this sounds real familiar.
Just assume.
So you're 23, 24 years old by then.
Let's see,
No, he wouldn't have been that old.
22. 21, 22. I mean, I
Just get a legal beer, but he
Yeah,
could
I
legally
mean,
get shot at.
Yeah. I could get shot at, I could kill people, but I couldn't even buy alcohol yet.
Right.
So so third deployment comes. It was a lot more. There was a saying back then of winning hearts and minds. It was the political approach of how to win the war in Iraq, and it was about getting the people of Iraq to believe in, democracy and winning their hearts and their minds and getting them to buy into
What we're doing is right.
what America was trying to sell them or whatever. So it was different. Like I said, the first deployment was a lot more of the invasion and what you would think of like two typical military forces going against each other. The second deployment was a very aggressive, assertive insurgency force that was willing to fight us and engage in combat. But then the third deployment is when it truly got into them being an insurgency where they would hit and run, or they would just set an IED and get out of there, or like
They didn't want to fight.
they didn't want to engage in combat with us. They just wanted to hit us and get away. They wanted to inflict damage and get out of there.
And you've probably heard them enough that they're getting lean too, right?
Yeah, probably after the second deployment type of time frame. So I mean, but
Because you're at home, they're still fighting, right?
right,
You got other people.
I get to go home and rest for 6 months,
And they're
and,
still
and
fighting.
they're every day they're waking up and doing it, and so
Right.
they're running out of bodies. They're running out of Eventually, I don't care how even if it's your homeland, I don't care how patriotic you are, you're gonna start running out of the will to fight when all your buddies are gone and you're the only one left standing.
Yeah.
So, but even that third deployment, there would be days where it would be a 2 or 3 hour gunfight. They would coordinate and they would plan, but it would only be once every couple of months or once a month or something like that. Versus that second deployment, there was a month, 5 weeks where we were in firefights every single day.
Waking up. There we go.
Yeah, and you're like, you just wonder, when are they going to hit us in the morning? Are we going to hit them in the afternoon? You didn't know when it was happening. They wouldn't come out at night because of all of our MVGs and stuff like that. And we had C-130s AC-130s overhead, which are, so a C-130 is a cargo plane.
Right.
An AC-130 is an assault plane, or I don't know what
Machine
it stands
guns
for.
and
But it
bombs,
but it
whatever.
has mortars and rocket everything coming out of the side of it with thermal and with night vision. So like they didn't come out at night, so we could kind of rest easy at night. We still kind of kept our eyes out, but we could rest easy at night. But once that third deployment, they were a lot more like hit and run tactics. And so you could never engage with. If you engaged with them for 30 minutes, that was a long fight. Versus we would go my second deployment, we would go hours or even days of having a day-long firefight of like, sure, there'd be a lull here or there, but you round a corner and there's 4 of them hanging out and you just get another gunfight.
Wow.
But that third deployment was a lot more of what you would call insurgency or whatever, where like you'd go 3 weeks and you get complacent, you get bored, you get all of these things, and then when it pops off,
Like, oh, well, here we
yeah,
go.
there's those of us that had been there before, it was just second nature to us, but the guys that had never been there before, they didn't know how to react because they weren't used to it at that point.
Right.
So it was the third deployment was very different.
Was that the toughest one? Or not? I don't mean toughest one, but it's like you said, you're sitting there like, playing gin. Next thing you know, you're in a gunfight.
Yeah,
Where before you get out of bed and be like, oh, sun's up, get your gun out.
we're fighting.
Yeah,
They were all tough in their own ways. The first deployment was tough because of the unknowns. Because none of us had ever been there. We were invading a country. We didn't, nobody knew anything. We were just figuring it out as we went. The second deployment was tough because like you knew you could die any day.
Yeah.
You know, for that first like 5 or 6 weeks when we were constantly in firefights all the time, like you just woke up thinking like if I live through the day, it's a good day. You know, but then that third deployment, it was a mental battle within yourself because like
You'd
you said,
on break or hey, let's just go fight every day.
yeah,
Right?
I mean, you could literally wake up in the morning, play NCAA football because I mean, at this point we had built up nice bases and all this stuff, so we had TVs, we had little enclosed housing units, like all of this stuff. We'd hook up TVs and PlayStations. We'd be in there gaming, and then we get a call on the radio, hey, there's a firefight. You hop in and you go out there, and then an hour later you're back because the firefight was over. Wow. You know, and so it's like you got to go from you're working out at the gym, grab your gear, grab your gun, go shoot at some people, and then turn it off and like go eat lunch.
Steaks are done.
Yeah, go eat
Steaks are
lunch.
done.
Yeah, go eat lunch after this. So it was, you know, it's the third one was the toughest mentally because you get so complacent, and then all it takes is one time and a buddy gets killed or hurt real bad or whatever, you know.
So, just quick answer is, so first time you go, what's your rank? Second time you go, what's your rank? Third time, and the chain of command, how like they moving you up the whole time? So how quick are you moving up? Are you this first time you're a grunt or whatever you want to say? The second time you're this. Are they moving you up the food chain as you're going over there?
Yes. The short answer is yes. So first deployment, I was straight out of boot camp. It was a PFC, which is private first class. So the lowest you can be in the military, in the Marines, or I think in any military, is an E1. So that's a private. I did well enough in boot camp where I became a PFC, which is a private first class. So I was one step above the bottom at that point.
You're still getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, I definitely got my ass kicked. While we were in the middle of the deployment, this is how strong the Marine Corps heritage is and processes and all of that stuff. While we're in the middle of the invasion of Iraq, I got promoted to Lance Corporal. So I got promoted to Lance Corporal. We had a ceremony, and there's pictures floating around the internet or with my friends somewhere, like under cami netting so nobody can see us and all that stuff. And I got pinned as a Lance Corporal in the middle of Iraq somewhere. Wow. So I was an E3 at that point through the rest of the first deployment. Stayed a Lance Corporal, which is an E3. On my second deployment, I believe this will be the best story yet, and there will be people in the Marine Corps that hate this one. So on my second deployment, I got promoted, on my second deployment, I was the Lance Corporal the whole time. So I come back, I'm a Lance Corporal. So in the Marine Corps, you have to get recommended for promotion. If you don't get recommended for promotion, you get what's called non-rect. So if you get non-rect, you have to come up and sign why you're getting not recommended for promotion. And there's a ditty, and it's JJ did tie buckle. Don't ask me to say what all of them are, but it's things like integrity, decision making.
We're not going to ask you.
Yeah, I'm out of them.
It's different than P. Diddy.
There's 13 it's different than P. Diddy.
Okay.
There's 13 different leadership qualities on why you should or shouldn't be promoted. So I come back from my second deployment. Now, mind you, that second deployment is where I was awarded the Silver Star.
Right.
I hadn't gotten it yet, but there was rumors or people knew I was able to carry my own. I'll say that. Right. And so when we come back, they have a big company formation, which is 4 platoons. There's 150 of us out there. And they start calling out names of people that have been non-wrecked. One of the names they called out was a guy that had gotten shot in the throat and was still in the hospital. And they flat out they called him out and they're like, blah, 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 non-wrecked. And they said, why? And we're standing back here and we're like, bro got shot in the throat for his country and you can't even promote him from an E3 to an E4? Like, you can't give him an extra $200 a month? We're like, what is going on? And like me and all my friends, we look at each other and like, this is going to sound conceited, but it's not in that sort of way. But like I had a reputation at that point. Like I knew how to conduct myself. And we all looked at each other and I was like, watch, I'm going to get non-rec too. After what I did, I'm going to get non-rec. Boom, they call my name out for leadership. That's why I got non-recommended. They would not promote me for leadership after I helped in saving somebody's life. And so we just laugh about it. Like we're just back there dying. Like they called out multiple people that were still in hospitals from being shot, being blown up, and all of this stuff. And they called me out and they're like, "Yeah, you're non-recommended for leadership." And like I just walk up there laughing, and like nobody said anything to me. I just walk up, sign my paper, and walk away. I mean, what are you gonna do?
So, are you getting, if you're a first class, is this pay raises? Mm-hmm. So you're getting bumped a little bit. And so you're coming through the ranks.
Yep.
Every deployment.
Yeah.
And I mean, and at the end of the day, right? Everybody wants a pat on the back. Everybody wants a promotion. Everybody wants to get paid more, right? I mean, that's the society. I mean, that's.
But it's not in that world.
Really.
It's like I would have given up all the money, all the raises, all the extra whatever to bring people home. Unless you've been there, and I'm not saying anything against y'all or anybody, but unless you've been there, you don't understand. Like
I appreciate that.
It's just for the person next to you. Like I mean, I would get if somebody held a gun to their heads and said like 3 of my buddies had to go back or whatever, I'd volunteer to go for free to go with them to make sure they could come home. I mean, because at the end of the day, your example of the pay raises and making more money, right. You're talking about $100 a month.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like how
that's what
I
he's
just
saying.
trying
Like,
to see. It don't
No,
matter.
non-recommended, and he got shot in the fucking throat.
Yeah,
you don't do it for money.
Yeah.
You don't.
How
do
does
it for
that
money.
not equate to more money?
Yeah, right. And I mean, which down the
Not-
road
not
he
saying
does
that's what you're saying,
because we
but-
have what's called survivor's life insurance. So if you get messed up a little bit, and like I knew guys that lost limbs or lost use of limbs and things like that, and you get a huge payday down the road, but like you can't promote them for $150 a month. Like, is that really, that's going to break the government?
I think that Toby Keith song, he said, "I do it for the money," right? I don't do it for the money. I think that's a American Soldier song.
Pretty accurate.
And there you go.
Nobody does it for the money. We all sign up because we want to serve our country and we want to do our part or whatever. But then once you go through everything, even before you deploy, you do it for the guy next to you. Like that's all that matters, and like you build such great friendships. There's one guy that I'm still friends with. This is the one name I'm going to use because I'm going to send him this video and he's going to love it because he's going to use it to talk shit on his other friends. So he was with me on the 2nd deployment and the 3rd deployment, and we have each other's undying respect, and he was always there for me. I was always there for him, and I did everything I could. But he was one of my junior Marines, and he wanted to challenge me. He always thought he could be better than me. And y'all know this. We play enough golf together. Like, I'm not going to lay down and let anybody be better than me. And I used to whoop his ass at everything. And I would beat him at bowling. I'd beat him at playing pool. I'd beat him at foosball. I'd beat him at dart.
Fucking spin around the chair.
Whatever he wanted to do, I'd whoop his ass. So 3rd deployment, I end up in charge of him. And so we're just messing with each other. We're having a good time. And I'm like, and so we do a technique that's called satellite patrolling, where we would drop some guys off and they'd kind of walk around the city, but we'd like circle around them to make sure like nobody was sneaking up on them or whatever. So my job that day was to circle around kind of the outside of the patrol and make sure like nobody was messing with them. So I told my buddy, and he's going to get his rocks off right here, but his name's McDonald. So I told McDonald, I said, all right, let's go. We're going to go as fast as we can to make sure nobody sneaks up on him. Well, all the Iraqi roads are dirt. And so I lost him in a dust cloud, and I lost my buddy David for an hour in the middle of Iraq. And his vehicle is just parked. Nobody could find him for an hour. And because the way the radios work, like in a city with the houses and everything, we couldn't get him on the radio. And that was probably one of the most scared I've ever been because I'm like, we're acting like idiots out here in the middle. I mean, it was my third deployment. Like, we're just having a good time. And I'm like, man, I was like, man, I just lost my buddy. Like, how do you lose somebody in the middle of Iraq? And I was scared. I was worried about it, this and that. We finally found them. Those idiots are handing candy out to kids because, listen to this, we know that if you keep the kids around you, they're not going to do anything because they don't want to hurt the kids.
So you come back, now we're on our 4th deployment, Abe. So are you thinking like, man, got the pat on the back, been over there 3 times, been shot at, my buddies got killed, everything. And then you're like, what in the world? I got to go back?
Hold on. So it gets even worse than that.
Oh, boy.
So come back from the 3rd deployment, and I've got like maybe 4 months till I get out of the military. That's where I started learning how to golf. I had nothing else to do. So
You're still learning.
Yeah, I'm still learning. That's true. So I come back from the 3rd deployment, and I've got like 3 or 4 months till I get out. I got out of the military. I went back home to Memphis. I was out of the Marine Corps, everything. Was going to school and getting my education, using the GI Bill.
Does that automatically make you not active, but
inactive reserves, IRR?
or you were in the reserve?
Yeah, and so when you're enlisted, you do active duty, and then you do inactive ready reserves is what it is, IRR, inactive ready reserves. So I'm doing that, but you don't have to do anything. It's not like you don't have to go in one weekend a month, or you don't have to do anything. And like the recruiters would get desperate sometimes, and they'd call us to see if we wanted to re-enlist, but we would just tell them like, yeah, I'm fat and out of shape. Like I'm not doing it. Like, or you just, once you had their number, you just ignore it. You had nothing to do with it. So I'm going to school at University of Memphis, using my GI Bill, trying to get my education and move on with life and all this stuff, doing all the right things society says you should do. And then I'm working at Chili's at the time in South Haven, Mississippi. I'm working at Chili's.
They're gonna be a sponsor,
and you can't. They're gonna be a sponsor soon. So, and you can't back then you can't have your cell phone out or whatever while you're working. So I kept it in my back pocket.
Surprised you even had one.
It's just vibrate. I think it was like an iPhone -3 or something.
Nokia.
Like that. Yeah, it was a Nokia that I played Worm on or something like that. Me and Zach Morris were texting each other. So
how's Zach doing?
So my phone starts going off, and I'm taking order. You know, you want some cheeseburgers or whatever, chips and salsa, a cheeseburger, whatever.
El Presidente.
Margarita. That's a margarita. I know that one. Yeah. So my phone just keeps going off, and I'm like, man, what's going on? So I pull my phone out, and I've got text messages from like 6 different Marine buddies. This is before group text ever even existed. So and I'm like, somebody died or committed suicide, or like that's just the reality once you get out. Like some people can't handle it, and that's how it goes. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I go to the bathroom, and I start reading all my text messages because I don't want to get in trouble and get fired from my job at Chili's. I was making big bucks, like $12,000
tens of
a
dollars
year.
a day.
I was making ones of dollars a day back then. So I go to the bathroom, and I'm reading it, and like all my buddies are like, are you going to Kansas City? And I'm like, oh, what happened in Kansas City? Like, what's going on? So I call one of them. It's a buddy of mine. And he's like, hey, did you get a FedEx package today? And I'm like, I don't know. I've been in school all day, and I'm working right now. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, man, check your front porch when you get home. You probably got a FedEx package. I'm like, what happened? He goes, everybody's getting recalled to go back into the Marines. We'd all been out for like a year and a half. Like, I'm a college student. I'm getting drunk, working my bartending, waiting gig, and flirting with girls. That's all I was doing, you know? And I'm like, dude, what? And he goes, yeah, we all got recalled. And I'm like, so-and-so texted. He goes, yep, he got recalled. So-and-so, yep, he got recalled. So-and-so, yep, he got recalled. Wow. And I'm like, holy moly. I'm like, so what are y'all doing? He's like, well, they're just saying we got to take these plane tickets, fly up to Kansas City, and they're going to give us the rundown and either like send us with reservists or, you know, give us our options or whatever. And I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, all right. I'll call you when I get home. So I finish working. I go home. Lo and behold, there's a FedEx package on my front porch. I'm living with like 3 buddies of mine from back home in Memphis. And I'm like, nobody saw that out front, but we all parked like around the back of the house. And I'm like, guys. And so I opened it up. There's airplane tickets in there. There's orders for me to show up in Kansas City, Missouri on so-and-so. Like, I got to be there. And like,
You got no choice.
yeah, that's what we think at the time or whatever. You know, we're young kids. Like, if somebody did that to me right now, I'd be like, yeah, suck my dick. But, you know, and so we all show up in Kansas City,
And
Missouri.
you're thinking, hey, we're gonna have fun. My buddies are going. I'm
That's
with my buddies
right.
at
There's
Kansas
like
City.
4, and the same thing as overseas. I'm like, I'm with 40 of my best friends right now. Like, ain't nobody gonna do anything to us we don't want to get done to.
Yeah.
So we all show up there, and like, we're fat, we're out of shape, we got beards, and they're like, y'all are supposed to be in uniforms. We're like, we don't even got uniforms. What are you gonna do to us? Like, you're the ones calling me because you need me to show up. Like, don't tell me what I gotta look like right now. And we're giving them a hard time. And so like the officers leave, and there's like a sergeant in there, and like the sergeant in there, he understands our situation. So he's like, hey, listen, guys, like, this is what's going on. Like, both wars, like, the reserves are getting depleted. Like, they need some backups. And, like, all of y'all have all this experience. Like,
We need help.
we need help. And, like, we all start talking. We're like, fuck this. Like, he just had a baby. Like, his back's blown out from last time we went over there. All that. So, probably out of, I don't know, I'd say out of 40 or 50 of us, there was probably about 10 of us that said, like, we'll do it. You're not going to get any pushback from us or whatever. But, like, even the sergeant was like, just tell him you're the sole income provider. Just tell him you just had a baby. Tell him you're in school. Tell him, like, your job, if you leave your job, you'll lose your, you know, things like that. And so they kind of coached us of how to get out of it if we wanted to. But kind of digging into my patriotism and all that stuff, like, I don't know, if you ask for my help, I'm going to give it to you, you know? And so me and a couple other guys that I was friends with, they went overseas with reservists. But my thing is, I wasn't willing to go overseas with reservists because that's like playing the varsity game with the JV squad is kind of how I compare it. And like, I'm not going overseas.
You know what you're getting into. You want to go with me and Fergie.
Well, you
No,
want to fight?
yeah, no
you
offense.
find out who wants to fight,
Yeah,
right?
that's
None
exactly
taken.
right.
None
Yeah,
taken.
that's exactly right. So I ended up re-enlisting. It had bonuses, which made it a little easier. You get a little pocket change or whatever. So I ended up re-enlisting, and I went MARSOC for a little bit and went through some schools and everything. And then I went to a whole new unit, but like it was an active duty unit, and I was able to like do a workup and like train with the Marines and all that stuff. And then
Were you their boss?
I was of 12 of them. I
12.
was a squad leader, so I was the boss of 12 of them. But me and the lieutenant at the time, we bumped heads because I'd been over there 3 times already, and I knew what the real world looked like over there, and plus I'd been out of the Marines, so like I couldn't play the game anymore. And I'm like, I'm not faking the funk. I'm not doing that. Long story short, what happened was I trained my Marines good. My Marines were prepared, and like if anything life-threatening would have happened, we would have been just fine. Like they had my utmost respect. I had theirs. Like we were a good unit. But when we went overseas, like I get it. The lieutenant had to do what he was told, and like that's just not the way that I operated overseas, and I wasn't willing to do some of those things. And so because of my background and my history, I could kind of get away with
Some of that.
expressing my opinion to people. And I did, but when I did it, there was somebody that didn't know me or my situation on the other side of a HESCO barrier, and me and the lieutenant both kind of got lit up by somebody higher up than us, and I got in a bunch of trouble, and so that was kind of the end of my Marine Corps career. I don't know what happened to that guy. He probably got out because he wasn't built for it. But I spent the next like 4 months overseas. I just went to the gym like 2 or 3 times a day, and that was all I did. I didn't do anything on that 4th deployment.
How long were you in the Marine Corps?
8 years total.
8 years.
Wow.
8 years.
Well, again, thanks for your service. What I was thinking about, so as four duties over there. You get to come back and see what you think life is going to look like, and you're willing to go back and fight again. Shows something about your patriotism. Like you didn't just come home and be like, I went over there, I did that. Like, that's somebody else's job now. You went back over there willing to, once again, put your life on the line for the country, which is amazing, And I'd say if they invaded us, there's gonna be a lot more these boys' age. They're gonna give it hell, more than people I think would realize, and but it's hard to believe that you like, okay, And one other thing I want to ask you, like, what about the contract labor? Did you ever think about the contract labor stuff, or no, or what's behind that? A real quick answer, but like, I know there's some but you're kind of out there by yourself or something.
Yeah. So the reason my second deployment turned into the way that it did. The reason my second deployment turned into the way it did was because a bunch of Blackwater contractors got hung up on the bridge, and all they were trying to do was escort some, from my understanding, some food supplies to some lower class Iraqi cities, and ISIS, Al Qaeda, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they attacked them and they got the better of them and they hung them up on a bridge and all of that stuff. So that's why the second deployment happened. So my impression or my version of being a contractor, the pay was great, but you didn't have support. I mean, I remember every deployment where we called in, artillery, mortars,
you're on
air,
a ledge.
You're out on a ledge and like, and trust me, I'm not the baddest motherfucker in the room by any means. I mean, maybe this room, but most rooms I'm not the baddest motherfucker in. But, I don't care how bad you are.
Pass on
if
that.
you're on the streets of a third world country and all you have is 180 rounds on your chest, you're in a rock and a hard place to start with.
And that's what I heard.
And
So basically, it's can't pay you enough.
You could pay me enough, but I felt like
You got some conditions.
after two deployments, the last two deployments, I felt like my luck was running out because I'd seen enough buddies get blown up, get shot, get hurt, all those things. And that's with the full force of the American government and military behind us. If you start doing contracting, your luck runs out real fast. Is my opinion. Is my opinion on it. And I know there's guys that did it and that's what they enjoy, but like I did what I wanted to do. I saw combat. I felt like I gave my piece of my skin to the American way of life and all of that stuff. And I broke up with girlfriends every time I went overseas because I didn't need anything distracting me from making choices at that time. But I was ready to start kind of settling down, and I knew, the older I got, family life was in the future. And I may not be the best dad in the world, but I'm gonna give it my all.
That's your dad. You're still dad.
So
besides the RPG that came in have you ever been shot?
I've never been shot. I've been blown up a couple times and lost consciousness. I've had my arms burnt up by IEDs, but I've
Been shot.
probably closest I've ever been. We're in Ramadi, and so I'm out in this it's like a oil pit where they change cars, but instead of having a hydraulic jack, they just dig a hole in the ground. So I crawl down in the hole in the ground, and I'm trying to look for this sniper, and we know he's down there. And I was out there for hour and a half, and like my elbows are just dead numb because I'm behind the scope the whole time, like looking, trying to find him, this and that, and like my arms are just burning. So finally I sit up straight. Not less than 10 seconds after I sit up straight, it whips right by my ear and blows up the cinder block right behind my head. And I just dropped face down and laid on my belly. And so on our M16s at the back, there's a I'm gonna get crucified for not knowing the name of it, but it's where you attach your sling. There's like a sling hook on the bottom of it. I lay on my belly and climb backwards and just drag my rifle by the sling hook. So I don't even like there. If he shoots me, he's got to go right through the top of the Kevlar at that point. But like he obviously saw me the whole time, and as soon as I set up, I mean, he couldn't have missed me by 3 inches. And then there's another time I got pissed off because there was a sniper out there and he sucked. He was shooting, but he was nowhere close to us. We're like, this guy's an asshole. I go in the Iraqi house that we had taken over, pick up a slingshot, and I grab the slingshot and I fire it out there. It's just a slingshot. And I fire it out there towards him and he shoots at me. As soon as he shoots at me, everybody in the house just lit up the house he was in, and just, we don't know if we got him or not, but it made us all feel good and like gave us a little motivation. So. What's that? Yeah, it was quiet. He didn't shoot back.
He probably moved.
Yeah, he's like, I may need a new house after this.
I tell you what, Abe, I really appreciate you getting on here, telling your story, and man, I thank you for your service, because you know I got 3 boys, and I don't know what I would feel if they came to me and said, "Hey, I'm getting deployed tomorrow." You know,
my mom wasn't happy about it, but you know. She worked her way through it.
I get it.
She didn't have a choice.
Well, anyway, we love you, and we'll play some golf. I mean, I'll take you as a partner and play Scott and Little Man, I guess.
Huh?
You're trading.
I tell you, fuck you, man. 2 lefties make a right.
Yeah, he's trading a dumb lefty for a stupid lefty.
Motherfucker hits a wiffle ball off his head.
Wiffle ball.